Hey there, Year 11s, Mr. Herman here, and this is part 2 of Exercise 10C combinations or selections. Now, as you can tell, I'm feeling quite sick, so unfortunately I can't be there for Thursday's class. In fact, the doctor took me off for Thursday and Friday. So yeah, it's just a little bit under the weather, and I've still got to play the role of being a parent at home as well to two kids who are also sick as well. So thank you for your patience, and thanks for dealing with these videos while I am away. But hopefully that you can make some type of sense from it during my delirious talking at 11:30 p.m. at night. Anyways, I have the best of intentions, and I really want you guys to understand this content because I really do enjoy teaching counting methods. It's one of my favorite topics. So anyways, this is part 2. You should have a part of the printouts, selections of any size, and then also another example. Now, Miss Willis did tell me that she accidentally printed the sheets double-sided. Hopefully, you can just write this as a subtitle within your book and then write down your own notes if you use a little bit of common sense. Now, selections of any size, what we're going to be focusing on is we're going to be deriving a certain formula which extends from the combination formula, and it's going to help us determine or find an easy way of getting a solution given the next example. So the selection of any size, let's say we have a scenario where there are 3 objects of some sort. The 3 objects, and we can just call these objects A, B, and C. So there's 3 types of objects that we have here. These can be books or anything. Let's just say that they are books. I think in the example in the textbook they say it's books. And say for instance you want to find all the different possibilities or combinations that you can obtain from either choosing 0, 1, 2, or 3 books. So in the scenario where you have a combination of 3 to choose from and you choose 0, this is obviously equal to not choosing anything at all, and there's only that's a null, that's just nothing. There's only one way that we can do this, so we would say that there's just one way, and this will always be the case. When you have a certain amount of objects and you want to choose 0 of them, it's always going to be equal to nothing or null, and there's only one way of obtaining this. The second way that we can have a combination is if we choose just one of them. So say for instance we have 3 objects and we want to choose one of them. This here is equal to 3. And the ways that we can have object A by itself, object B by itself, and object C by itself. Now again, this one's pretty obvious. If you have a certain amount of objects and you want to select one of them, how many possibilities are there? Well, there's 3 because it's the amount of objects that are there in the first place. So you can say that if this was 4, choose 1, then the amount of ways that you can get is 4. Okay, so we have 1 way, we have 3 ways. Now we're going to look at all the possibilities where there are 2 different selections. In this case, this is coincidentally again equal to 3. So the different possibilities that we can have here is we can choose AB as a clump, we can choose AC as a clump, or we can choose BC. Now remember with combinations that order makes no difference. We're combining the 2. So AB and BA are still considered just one form of combination. Same with AC and CA and BC and CB. So in this case there are 3 different ways. And then the last one, say we have 3 and we want to choose all 3 of them. Well, obviously this is just going to be one way, and that pertains to A, B, and C. And then again, using logic, if you had a certain amount of objects and you wanted to choose all of them, if it was 4, choose 4, or 5, choose 5, this is always going to be 1. Okay, so you'll notice that 3, choose 0, and 3, choose 3. It's always going to be 1. What you get in the middle, again, these can vary depending on how many objects you have to choose from. But what we wanted to get across is all of these added up, 1, 3, 3, and 1, so the numbers that I've underlined, this is equal to 8. Now another way we could have worked this out, is finding out how many all of these are equal to is also the same as getting 2 to the power of how many objects there are. In this case, there are 3 to choose from, A, B, and C. So 2 to the power of 3, which is 2 times 2 times 2. And this will give me 8 as well. Now there is a proof behind this, and I'm not going to delve too much into the workings of the proof, but it does stem to, believe it or not, Pascal's triangle. And we looked into this when we were in room 4, and we were looking at how Pascal's triangle weirdly popped up when it came to a plus b to the power of a certain number. It also pops up to looking into Pascal's triangle, and you can see here this 1, 3, 3, 1 also appears here with 1, 3, 3, 1. And as you increase the amount of objects, depending on how many objects there are, will dictate what row you are in. Technically, this is row 0. So row 0, row 1, row 2, then row 3. So that means that if let's just take a trip back. If I had 2 objects to choose from, say for instance A and B, this is going to be equal to 2 to the power of 2, which is 4, which coincidentally adds up as 1, 2, and 1, which is 4. And this means that there's one way of choosing 0, there's 2 ways of choosing just one object, which is A and B, and then there's one way of choosing 2 objects, which is A, B together. So this Pascal's triangle, pretty powerful thing, pretty interesting how this turns up. And you can also see that there's some form of symmetry as you keep going across, depending on how many objects are in each row. If we look into the next row, which is 1, 4, 6, 4, 1, which has to do with row 4. If we were to have 4 objects of some sort, I can tell you that 4 choose 0 is 1, 4 choose 1 is 4, obviously, 4 choose 2 is 6, 4 choose 3 is 4, and 4 choose 4 is 1. So this Pascal's triangle will be pretty handy, but it also relates to this as well. So 2 to the power of however many objects. Now we're going to use this to help us with the next example, the final example, and then you guys can continue on with exercise 10C, the rest of the questions for this double. So here's the example 14. So Nick is making an invitation list for his party and he has 7 friends to choose from. If he may choose to invite any number of friends from 1 to 7, and this is a really important fact, from 1 to 7 friends, how many possible party lists does he have? Assume he will invite at least 1 person to his party. Now in the previous workings, we looked into choosing nothing. In this case, we want to choose at least 1 person, so there's something that we have to look into or take into consideration when working this out. So what we do know is that the amount of people that Nick is going to choose from, or the amount of objects, is 7. So in this case, n is equal to 7. Okay, because this relates to 7 people. 7 possible people to invite. Now, because our n is equal to 7, we know we have to deal with a 2 to the power of 7. We know that there's going to be some answer that pertains to this, but what we have to realize is that 7 choose 0 is not a possibility. Okay, we're still going to write it down. So what we're going to do is we are going to write all the different possibilities and have that equal to 2 to the power 7. So there's 7 choose 0. Okay, so that's choosing no friends. Not going to be the case, but we have to use it for example. There could be a case where you can choose one person to the party, and how many different possibilities are there? Well, obviously there's going to be 7. There's going to be 7 choose 2, 7 choose 3, 7 choose 4, 7 choose 5, 7 choose 6, and 7 choose 7. So these are all the different possibilities, and all of these numbers have an answer to them. How many different possibilities? We already know that this is going to be 1. We already know that this is going to be equal to 7. We already know this is going to be equal to 1. And this is also going to be equal to 7. Based on that symmetry. Now we know that these numbers have some certain value, and again you can use Pascal's triangle to work them out. But what I'm trying to get to the fact is, in this instance, if we didn't know Pascal's triangle, and then we didn't know that there was a link between the two, what we can determine is that this here is equal to 2 to the power 7. And the one we do want to realize is that this here, this one is not a possibility for this context that we've been given, because we have to have at least one party, at least one person rather, at the party. So based on this, the amount of people that are going to be at this party is 2 to the power 7 minus this here. So 2 to the power 7, 2 to the power 7 minus 7 choose 0 is going to equal how many we're going to party list can he make, or how many party lists does he have. So amount of party lists. And the only way that we can include this is if we had one of the options of him having no friends at his party, which is a bit sad, a bit redundant for this example. So 2 to the power 7 is just 2 times 2 times 2 itself 7 times. This is equal to 128 minus this one possibility that we're excluding. So 127. So there's 127 possible number of party lists that Nick can have based on 7 people to choose from. Now, which one he decides to go for, I'm not too sure. Hopefully he goes for this one, because, you know, the more people at the party, the merrier. But what we do want to get is to this answer. So just be careful of the different types of circumstances or restrictions that are being put at play when trying to figure out specific answers. And obviously, if this number were, say, 8 or 9, you would just change the number of this power here depending on what the context is. Alright guys, that's it from me. I wish you the best of luck with this exercise for this double. See how you go. Make sure that you ask for help if you do have a mathematician teacher. If not, you can ask each other, and you can always use the back of the book to get more clarity and confirmation of your answers. I'll see you guys next week on Monday. I'm hoping for a speedy recovery. See you guys soon.